We installed solar panels to save money. The day after installation, our neighbor served us with a lawsuit. "Your panels reflect too much light into my baby's room," she claimed. I offered to adjust them. She refused. The next day, I found them smashed with a hammer, her son's initials scratched into the glass. I reported it. She told police I did it for insurance money. When we took her to court, her husband came clean on the stand, and what he revealed ended their marriage and saved my house. I'm not a dramatic guy. I don't start fights, I don't yell, and I don't mess with other people's business. I work full-time for a small logistics company in Fort Worth. My wife, Tessa, teaches elementary school. We live in a normal 3-bedroom home in a quiet neighborhood, not fancy, not trashy. Just regular. That's why all this still feels crazy to me. We decided to install solar panels because our electric bills were stupid high. During the summer, it's like living in an oven here in Texas. I was tired of sweating and still paying nearly $400 a month to keep the AC running. So when a local company gave us a solid quote and a 10-year payment plan, we figured it was worth it. The guy told me we'd save around $150 a month, sometimes more. So yeah, we did it. They came out on a Wednesday morning and finished before sunset. The guys were professional, fast, and left no mess. The panels looked great, modern, clean, and set at a slight angle on the left side of our roof. That side faces east, so it catches the morning sun. I felt good. Like I made a smart decision for once. But that feeling lasted less than 24 hours. The next morning, I was drinking coffee in the kitchen. Around 7:15 a.m., someone banged on our front door, not knocked, banged. I opened it and saw Julie from next door standing there in her robe, holding her baby monitor in one hand. "You need to take those panels down," she said, not even a "good morning." I was confused. "What?" "There's shining light into my baby's room. He hasn't slept all night. It's like a damn spotlight in there." I told her I was sorry, that I didn't know they'd cause any problems, and that I'd check it out and talk to the installer. I said maybe we could adjust the tilt or put a screen up. She cut me off. "I don't want them adjusted. I want them gone." I remember just standing there, stunned. I asked her, "Is this really that bad?" "It's morning sun. It's not like there's a mirror on your house." She stepped closer. "Do you want a lawsuit?" "Because I'm about 5 minutes away from calling my attorney." That was my warning shot. I called the solar company that afternoon. The technician came back the next day and did a reflection reading. He said the glare was, well, within acceptable range, and told me it wasn't enough to be a hazard to anyone's health or safety. I offered to pay to add non-reflective film to the panels. I figured that would help, and I didn't want trouble. But when I told Julie, she didn't care. "Too late," she said. "I already filed a complaint." The following Monday, I got served. A process server dropped off paperwork at our door. Julie was suing us for creating a public and private nuisance, and she claimed our panels were endangering her child's well-being. She also sent a complaint to the HOA. We tried to keep our heads down. Tessa cried for 2 days. We talked about taking them down, but that felt insane. We were trying to save money, and now this woman wanted to ruin us over some light? Then it got worse. One morning, about a week after the lawsuit, I walked out to the driveway and saw shattered glass. I looked up and my stomach flipped. The panels were wrecked. At least 6 of them were smashed, with deep cracks and busted sections. One of them had something carved into the glass. TJ. I knew right away, that was Julie's son. Tyler James. He was 16. I'd seen him hanging around the neighborhood on his skateboard. I always thought he was just a quiet, bored kid. I never imagined he'd do something like this. I took pictures of everything. Called the police. Filed a vandalism report. The officer came by, looked around, and said, "Without a witness or camera footage, this is going to be tough." I told him about the initials. He wrote it down but said it wasn't enough for an arrest. So I did what I had to do. I filed an insurance claim. The next day, Julie showed up in my yard again. This time, she had a grin on her face. "I hope your little scam works," she said. "What the hell are you talking about?" I asked. She smiled wider. "I told the police you did it yourself. To get the insurance money." I couldn't even answer. I was so stunned. She just turned and walked back across the lawn. The next few weeks were hell. The insurance company froze the claim and launched an investigation. Julie filed a second police report accusing me of fraud. She even got a restraining order, saying I threatened her and her child. I hadn't even spoken to her outside of that one confrontation. Tessa and I hired a lawyer. We countersued for damages, harassment, and defamation. It was costing us thousands, but we didn't have a choice. We couldn't let her win. And then came the trial. 6 months after all this started, we ended up in court. By that time, our life felt wrecked. We were fighting every day. Our savings were gone. The HOA fined us for having broken panels on the roof. Tessa wanted to move. I couldn't sleep. Julie walked into court dressed like a victim, hair pulled back, no makeup, holding a folder like she was about to read a statement. Her lawyer was smug as hell. They tried to paint me as angry, dishonest, and money-hungry. Then it was our turn. My lawyer had a surprise. We'd subpoenaed her husband, Matt. I hadn't talked to Matt much during all this. He was quiet, polite. We waved sometimes, that was it. But apparently, he'd been watching everything, and he'd had enough. When he took the stand, he looked nervous. But when my lawyer asked him under oath if he knew who damaged the panels, he didn't hesitate. "Yes," he said. "It was my son." Julie didn't even flinch. She just stared at him like she didn't hear. Matt kept going. "My wife told him to do it. She said if he got caught, she'd say Rick did it for insurance. She told him to scratch his initials in, so it would look like a setup." The room went dead quiet. Julie's lawyer looked like he swallowed a rock. My lawyer asked, "Did you know this when it happened?" Matt nodded. "Yes." I didn't agree with it. I tried to talk her out of it, but she screamed at me. Said I was choosing strangers over my own family. She made Tyler do it. Julie finally snapped. She stood up and screamed, "Liar! You're a drunk. You're just trying to get custody." The judge shouted for order. It was over. We'd won. After Matt's testimony, everything shifted. Julie was dragged out of the courtroom yelling. The judge ordered a recess. Her lawyer tried to withdraw from the case right there in front of everyone. My lawyer leaned over and whispered, "This just turned criminal." I thought that was the end of it. I figured once the truth was out, she'd back off. I'd finally get to move on. But I didn't know Julie yet. Not really. The judge ruled in our favor the following week. We won full damages, over $19,000 for the panels, legal fees, and emotional distress. Julie's lawsuit against us was dismissed with prejudice. The police reopened their case. CPS was called in because of her actions involving Tyler. That same day, Matt filed for divorce and emergency custody. He took the baby and moved into a rental 2 streets over. When I saw him moving out, he wouldn't even look at Julie. Just loaded boxes into his truck while she screamed at him from the porch. A week later, we were finally approved by the insurance company. The money came through, and we ordered new solar panels, better ones, top of the line, zero glare. I paid the HOA fines just to be done with it. I thought, this nightmare is over. But it wasn't. 3 nights after the new panels were installed, someone broke into our backyard. They didn't touch the panels this time. They went after our AC unit. Slashed wires, poured something into the condenser, completely fried it. It was July. Over 100 degrees. And now we had no air conditioning. I called the cops. Again. This time, I had security cameras. Cheap ones from Amazon, but good enough. The footage wasn't crystal clear, but it was clear enough. A figure in dark clothes. A woman's build. Same height, same hair, same angry walk. The footage showed her sneaking around the back gate, carrying a bottle of some kind. It didn't show her face, but it didn't have to. I brought the footage to the police. They came out, looked around, and said they'd investigate. But that's all they did. No arrest. No charges. Nothing stuck. Julie denied everything and told the officers it was probably someone Rick hired to make her look bad. I was losing it. I hadn't slept in days. Tessa was begging me to sell the house. She even started looking at apartments in Dallas. "This woman is never going to stop," she said. But I wasn't ready to give up. I got a restraining order against Julie. I installed more cameras. I built a 7-foot privacy fence and filed a civil complaint against her for the AC damage. Then I started digging. I went online. Looked through public records. And that's when I found something. Julie had done this before. 3 years earlier, in another neighborhood on the other side of Fort Worth, she sued a neighbor over toxic gardening chemicals, supposedly blowing into her yard. Same pattern. Fake injuries. Lawsuit. Restraining order. That case got thrown out too, but not before she caused over $10,000 in legal costs for that family. I found their names. I reached out. And what they told me made my blood boil. "She accused my wife of trying to poison her kid," the guy said. "We moved to avoid her. You should do the same." But I wasn't moving. With their help, I got signed statements, screenshots, and more. My lawyer filed for a civil harassment injunction and included the prior case as part of a pattern of behavior. Julie showed up to the next court date with no lawyer. She tried to defend herself. Claimed we were stalking her. Claimed Matt was brainwashed, and the neighbors were part of a conspiracy. She said we were all jealous of her. She lost. Again. The judge granted the injunction. Ordered her to stay 100 feet from my house, permanently. Any violation would lead to arrest. The next morning, I found a dead squirrel nailed to our fence. No note. Just that. A squirrel. Nailed. I didn't call the police. I didn't take it down. I left it there for 3 days. I wanted her to see it hadn't scared me. I wanted her to see that I was done playing nice. That week, Matt reached out. He invited us over. Said he had something to tell us, something he didn't say in court. When we got there, the baby was sleeping. Matt poured me a drink, then handed me a manila folder. Inside were screenshots, emails, text messages, voice recordings. "She's been planning to sue someone since before you even moved in," he said. Inside that folder Matt handed me were months, years, of red flags. And I mean planned chaos. Screenshots of emails she sent to her sister, bragging about how easy it was to manipulate HOA board idiots into siding with her. A draft letter to a lawyer, dated before we even had our solar panels installed, where she outlined a potential neighbor nuisance strategy and said, "All it takes is a crying baby and a nervous dad." There were texts between her and someone saved in her phone as HOA Steve. She was feeding him lies about me, calling me a dangerous paranoid, accusing Tessa of being unstable. This guy was a member of the board. She had him wrapped around her finger. That's why the HOA fines had come so fast. The recordings were worse. One was a voicemail she left on Matt's phone, ranting about how she was going to burn that smug look off Rick's face one way or another. In another, she told Tyler, her own son, that no one will ever believe you if you talk. You're just a dumb kid who smashed a window. She was weaponizing her family, her community, even her baby. Tessa sat frozen on Matt's couch, holding that folder like it was a bomb. I just stared at Matt. "Why didn't you say any of this in court?" He looked ashamed. I thought if I protected her, she'd stop. I thought if I covered for her just once, she'd let it go. He hadn't told us everything because he still loved her then. He'd been trying to get her to accept help, therapy, anything. But she refused. Said she wasn't sick. Said we were the problem. Why are you giving us this now? I asked. He looked at me dead in the eye. Because she's coming after you again. She hired someone. I sat up straight. What? Matt leaned in. She paid a guy $200 to scare you. Some idiot from a bar downtown. Said all he had to do was key your car or start a fight. He messaged her a few days ago asking when he should do it. He handed me a printout of the guy's messages. One of them included a picture of my car in our driveway. That broke me. I was done being reactive. I was going on offense. I brought the folder to our lawyer that same day. He couldn't believe it. This is enough to go federal, he said. Crossing state lines of harassment, premeditated fraud, witness intimidation, you've got a civil and criminal case here. We added the new evidence to our ongoing civil suit and sent copies to the police, the insurance company, the HOA, and CPS. That triggered a domino effect. The HOA suspended Julie's membership and barred her from meetings. The police called her in for questioning. And then something happened I never expected. Tyler showed up at our house. It was a Saturday. I heard a knock and opened the door to see him standing there, hoodie on, hands in his pockets. He looked older than 16. Tired. I'm sorry, he said. For everything. For what I did. She made me do it, but I didn't fight hard enough. I scratched my name into your panel because she said it would help. I didn't even want to. He was trembling. I told him to come inside. He didn't. She told me to lie again. Said if the cops came, I had to say Matt made it all up. That he abused us. But he didn't. He never touched me. She just wants to win. Even if it means wrecking us. I told him I appreciated him telling the truth. Asked if he was okay. He shook his head. I'm scared she's gonna hurt somebody. That was the final crack. Not just in our case, but in whatever wall Julie had built around her control. Her son was scared. Her husband left. Her lies were unraveling. And she still wouldn't stop. The very next morning, I woke up to sirens. Julie had been arrested. This time for conspiracy to commit assault and property damage. The guy she hired to scare me got picked up on an unrelated charge and rolled on her immediately. He told police she offered to pay him cash to slash my tires, throw a rock through our window, and leave a note. She was booked that afternoon. But that wasn't the end. Because now she was coming for me, with one final, desperate move that could cost me everything if I didn't stop her in time. I thought with her arrested, maybe, just maybe, we could breathe again. But less than 72 hours later, she posted bail. And then, like clockwork, I got a letter. Certified. She was suing me again. This time, for defamation. She claimed I coerced Matt and Tyler into lying. Said I fabricated evidence, falsified harassment, and damaged her reputation and standing in the community. She filed it pro se, representing herself, just like she did in the past when things got desperate. Her complaint said I ran a coordinated smear campaign, using doctored text messages and staged video footage. She accused me of turning the neighborhood against her and weaponizing a family breakdown for sympathy. The kicker? She demanded $100,000 in damages. $100,000 from me. I took the letter to my lawyer, who just laughed and said, "She's unraveling. This won't hold." But I wasn't laughing. I knew Julie. This wasn't about money. This was about exhausting us. She wanted to wear us down with court dates, paperwork, legal fees. She wanted us to give up or make a mistake. She didn't care about winning. She just wanted revenge. Still, we filed to dismiss. Easy win, my lawyer said. But the hearing was still 3 weeks away. And in those 3 weeks, she got busy. Someone started posting about me on neighborhood Facebook groups. Anonymous accounts spreading rumors, saying I was a scam artist, that I hurt my wife, that I was mentally unstable. One post said I used connections at the HOA to attack a young mother. Another post included a screenshot of our house, our address, with the caption, "Beware of this man." People started staring at us in the grocery store. One woman muttered, "Shameful," as we walked past in the parking lot. Tessa deleted all her social media. My boss even called me in and asked what was going on. Apparently someone emailed our company from a fake account saying I was under investigation for insurance fraud. It was her. All of it. We couldn't prove it, yet, but we knew. And then, late one night, we got a knock at the door. Not a bang this time. Just a single knock. I opened it, and there she was. Julie. Standing alone. No baby. No bags. Just her, in a hoodie, holding something wrapped in a brown paper bag. "You want a truce?" she said. I didn't answer. I stepped out and closed the door behind me so Tessa wouldn't hear. Julie looked tired. Not fake tired, real tired. Pale. Eyes sunken. Hair a mess. "I have something," she said. "Something you don't know. And if you drop everything, every suit, every complaint, I'll give it to you. No strings." "What the hell are you talking about?" I asked. She held up the bag. "Evidence. Against Matt." Now I was listening. She smiled, weak. "He's not who you think he is. He lied under oath. About me, about Tyler. About you." I was stunned. Confused. Angry. I didn't know whether to laugh or swing at her. "I don't want to destroy you anymore," she said. "But if you keep this up, I'll go nuclear. And I'll bring him down too." I didn't take the bag. I didn't say a word. I just walked back inside and locked the door. That night I didn't sleep. Because now I had to ask the one question I never thought I'd ask: was Matt lying too? I didn't tell Tessa about Julie's late-night visit right away. I couldn't. I needed to be sure. I needed to find out the truth, for real this time. The next day I called Matt. He answered fast. "You okay?" he asked. I told him exactly what happened. I told him about the bag, the threat, the way she said he lied under oath. I watched the silence stretch through the phone. When he finally spoke, his voice was different. "There's something I didn't tell you," he said. I gripped the phone tighter. "I didn't lie in court," he said. "But I left something out." "What?" "She didn't make Tyler smash the panels." "Not directly. She suggested it. Dropped hints. Called you names, said you were trying to ruin us, told him real men protect their families. Then left the garage door open with a hammer sitting there. She manipulated him." I said. Matt sighed. "Yeah. But when I found out what happened, I told her we needed to come clean. She said no. Told me if I spoke up, she'd say I was the one who planned it. That I hated you. That I smashed the panels and coached Tyler to cover for me." I panicked. I hid some things. Burned a few notes. Things that could have made me look bad too. "You burned evidence?" "I didn't destroy it all. I just protected myself." I was pissed. I trusted Matt. I thought he'd been the one person who hadn't lied or twisted things. Now I realized we'd all been dancing around the truth. Julie had twisted everyone, including me, because if I'm honest, I didn't just want justice. I wanted her to suffer. After the restraining order, the smashed panels, the lawsuit, I wanted her broken. And I went after her like a man with nothing left to lose. I shared the screenshots. I leaked her past lawsuits. I fed her name to every HOA group in the region. Hell, I even sent that squirrel photo to a local blog. I turned her into a villain because it was easier than dealing with what this had done to me. I realized right then. We all made this worse. Julie wasn't innocent. But neither were we. The lines blurred, and somewhere along the way, it stopped being about solar panels. It became war. But I wasn't going to let it go on. So I made one final move. I walked into the police station with Matt's confession and the bag Julie had left. Inside were half-burned papers from their garage, handwritten notes, schedules, even a rough plan of our property. It was enough to show she'd planned the harassment ahead of time. I gave it all to the detective, along with a written statement explaining what Matt told me and what I knew. I didn't hold anything back, not even my own screw-ups. I told them I leaked info, retaliated, went too far online. They looked at me like I was crazy. Maybe I was. But I needed it to stop. 3 weeks later, they arrested Julie again, this time for conspiracy, child endangerment, and tampering with evidence. The DA had enough to move forward with criminal charges. Tyler was sent to live with his aunt out of state. CPS was still involved. Matt's divorce became final. He got custody. And me? I dropped the defamation countersuit. I removed my cameras. I took down every Reddit post, every blog comment, every smear I'd put out there. And I put the house up for sale. Tessa and I moved 6 months later. Somewhere quieter. Somewhere far from HOAs and lawsuits and broken glass. I never saw Julie again. But I still remember that look on her face. The night she offered that bag and said, "Let's call a truce." There was no truce. There never was. And in the end, none of us walked away clean.